I'm actually very proud of one statistic in my career, which is uh, the second non-white permanent secretary of a department was Manoush Shafiq, who I brought in from the World Bank into DFID. She became, after me, the permanent secretary at DFID. That also says something because DFID had the first two non-white permanent secretaries. Another person I mentored was Sharon White, who's of Jamaican heritage, and now, of course, running John Lewis Partnership. She became a second permanent secretary. That's important to me, that this isn't just about myself. This is about trying to really help and nurture the careers of others who are from the ethnic minorities. I hope I've done that. But what's worrying, I think, right now is that you can talk about me, you can talk about Manoush, you can talk about Sharon, all three of us have left. And there isn't another permanent secretary at the moment from an ethnic minority. Or, and maybe there are more, I think there are more senior civil servants now in that cadre below the level of permanent secretary who are from ethnic minorities than there were when I was there. But it would be nice to see some of them coming through into the top leadership positions.
Does that worry you?
Yes, it does worry me. I think, part of being a leader is to create a structure that, not a revolving door, but an assembly line of people who can come through into these positions. And maybe the three of us who did that, the originals, if you like, we didn't quite succeed in making that assembly line really function well.
What's happening in the permanent secretaries and in the government and the civil service that you spent most of your life doing must fill you with dread, because we've had 4 permanent secretaries leave, we've had the cabinet secretary leave. When you look at the civil service, the UK civil service today, what runs through your mind?
I think the key thing about the civil service, well, there are a number of key things. One is the civil service does need to continue reforming. And we've talked a lot today about the diversity angles, inclusion angles, but beyond that as well, it's about performance of the civil service as well, generally. So fundamentally, the question I would ask is the civil service doing enough, being allowed to do enough to actually reform? Second area is the division between political responsibilities and civil service responsibilities. I'm a strong believer in the British political neutrality approach of the civil service. I don't believe in the American system or even the French system, which is not as politicized as the American. But I think if you look at comparisons of the performance of civil services, there are only 2, in my view, in the world that really stand out, the UK and Singapore. I think those are the 2 best civil services. So the question of all these permanent secretaries leaving, I mean, I don't know why they're leaving, so I'm not privy to the exact reasons for each of them. But it is concerning that so many are leaving at the same time. I hope the subs bench is good. And again, because I've been away for so long, I can't really comment on that process. But it's not great when you lose 4 players in one go. I think generally.
Would you go back?
I think it's something to think about. But I'm 61 now, and having run 2 departments already, having run a multilateral institution, I think the question for me is really whether my life is better now in terms of my contribution to actually not go and run another organization, but actually to be an advisor in some ways. So is it better for me to advise the civil service or to advise government on civil service matters here and in other emerging markets? Maybe that's the best place for me to be, rather than to head another organization again. I've done that for 18 years now, so it's a long time to be a leader of organizations. And these things have stresses and strains on you, your family, friends, everyone. So I think it's more likely that I'll be much more in an advisory role than in an executive role.
You were one of a handful, 3 you could mention, of non-white people who made it to the permanent secretary role. In our lifetime, would you expect somebody to actually run the whole shebang, to become a cabinet secretary who is not white?
Yes, I think I would. And I'd be very disappointed if it didn't happen, actually. You know, it may not be me, but I think there are several who could do that. And I hope not in the too distant future either. You know, whether those who've left would come back, I don't know, but they're younger than me. And there must be some others also coming through. Again, I just don't know. I mean, I'm actually going to be doing a talk with the Senior Civil Service Race to the Top network in October, where they want me to talk about being the first ethnic minority permanent secretary. And this is a group of, you know, Asian, Afro-Caribbean civil servants who are now in the senior civil service. So that means there are more of them than when I started. I was the first in the senior civil service. I was joined by one other guy at the old Department of Trade and Industry. He was the second. There was only two of us at the beginning of this. So if we'd formed a network, it would have been a network of two at the time. So clearly it's moved on in the right direction. So yeah, I do expect in my lifetime that we will see maybe both a woman and also an ethnic minority cabinet secretary.
5 years, 10 years, 15 years?
I think certainly within 10 years, I would hope so, very much so. But for me to say that with certainty, I'd need to know what the pipeline looks like, and I just don't have the data and information anymore on that within the civil service.